The Night Only Lives Today is a webtoon about determination and hard work. It is also very, very good. It's a nice, solid read. I've been reading it recently. There's about 40 or so chapters available on Webtoon, and a handful more on FastPass if you want to read those. But it's quality stuff, in my opinion. It starts out with a nice, medieval setting with our protagonist, Encrid, getting killed. Yep. But then coming back to life, ReZero style. He has a checkpoint at the start of the day. It's probably where the inspiration for the idea comes from. It's probably ReZero, if I'm being honest. But Encrid then loops the day. And then dies again. And then loops the day and then dies again. And loops the day and then dies again. But every single time, he's learning. He's getting better. He's making more progress. As soon as he figures out that he is looping the day over and over and over again, he starts to make the most of it. He doesn't give up. Encrid is a man who does not know the meaning of giving up. He's a brilliant, beacon. Maybe the excess of not giving up. Man is a little bit mental when it comes to not giving up, given the fact he's died several hundred, probably maybe even 1,000 times at this point so far. But yeah, Encrid is a brilliant character. He's a shining star of determination and hard work, because he has no talent, by his own and other people's admission. Although, because of the fact that he gets to loop a day and learn skills in a day, he then is simultaneously both a genius to people and also a talentless muppet. Because one day he'll just master like 7 skills in a day, because he's looped it like 300 times, and then another time it'll take him like a month to learn a really basic skill because he hasn't been able to loop that day, and so has instead not learnt it very quickly, which is within his own, and has learnt it at his natural rate from other people's perspective. But from his perspective, he is learning everything at his own natural rate, which is that of someone who doesn't have talent, but has, well, literally infinite time and the will to practice for as long as is needed. Encrid is very, very good, and his hard work and determination inspire confidence, respect, and admiration from his squad of misfits, who are all incredibly talented and terrifying individuals. Rem is a barbarian-looking fellow who is an absolute monster on the battlefield, for an example. Yeah, Ragnar, who teaches him the sword and, well, was seemingly able to wield it from the moment he picked it up. He's that kind of genius, right? And he learns skills and techniques from all these people in his squad, and he gets, better, and he goes from being an absolute loser to pretty damn good, pretty competent, as of the point in the story. He's still not perfect. He's got a ways to go, because obviously a lot of the time he is getting through situations by the fact that he's repeated them over and over again and learnt how everything plays out. There is one instance where there is a lot of fog, and the reason he gets through that day is because he just remembers where enemies are after doing the day like 300 times, having spent an entire year on the same day. Yeah, he's quite the character. But this webtoon's really good. It starts out with a very, very simple, traditional medieval setting, with the only fantastical element being Encrid's looping, which we then find out is due to this weird artifact that it was given by some village he helped. Presumably started by that. And we do see, Chiron, the ferryman of the River Styx, if you know Greek mythology, that'll ring a bell to you. This character appearing in Encrid's dreams every now and then, there's, trying to beckon him to give up and just accept death, like you're never going to get anywhere, it's only going to be difficult for you, just accept that you just die, just let death take you. And Encrid's like, nah, fuck that. Rightfully so. And so they're slowly introducing more and more fantastical elements, and then at some point you're introduced to frogs. Not frogs as in like toads, although frogs and toads aren't the same thing, but you know what I mean. But like giant humanoid frogs. They're like bred battle monsters. And then, okay, now we're very fantastical, and then we're introduced to magic and sorcery and monsters and undead, and the more fantastical elements are brought in after setting up the initial concept, premise, and establishing its characters, which I actually think is not a half bad way of doing it. Although I would have preferred if it had stayed more traditional, with like the only, fantastical element being Encrid's looping, but obviously it's more interesting from a reader's perspective if you introduce magic and stuff and don't just leave this weird, just, yeah, he can loop because he can. If you introduce magic and stuff, then of course, you have now an explanation of there's magical faff in this world, so of course, something like this could be possible. You know what I mean? I get why, but I would have liked it if it had just been, yeah, Encred can loop. He can loop, because have fun. It's now just a non-fantasy medieval setting, but Encred can loop. And that would have been interesting, but again, I'm not against the twist that's gone on, but it's gone on this twist. But yeah, the story's really solid. Encred's a fantastic character, so are the rest of the cast. It's also, oddly enough, the story can be quite funny when it wants to be. Like, it has a sense of humor when it needs it. And it's very, very good. I'm really enjoying it. It's a very engaging and enjoyable read. I do recommend you go check it out if anything I've said right here has interested you on it. I don't want to talk about too much of the plot because, again, 40 chapters isn't too much. So if I go too in-depth on it, I might spoil it and you might not want to read it. Which I've not told you a huge amount. But Encred's development and growth with both as a character, which is lesser than his development as, you know, in terms of his skills. He's not OP by any means. This is not a power fantasy webtoon at all. So don't get that twisted. But Encred's growth as a character is mainly just him continuing to just not give up. He hasn't really had much character development so far. It's more how other people around him interact and view him is his development as opposed to himself developing and changing a lot, at least so far. Although the way he applies the techniques and the way he is learning and changing his outlook on scenarios is some form of development for him. But again, probably my main hope for this is we get some more character development. Encred grows and stuff, and maybe, although there's nothing wrong with Encred's character, Encred is also, you know, he is an adult, right? He's a grown-ass man, so of course he's not really going to change a huge amount at this point in his life. So to that extent, it does also make sense. You know what I mean? And yeah, there's a bunch of other, you know, minor side characters, but it's a very interesting story. I do highly recommend you go check it out. It's a very fun read. So yeah, with that out of the way, leave a like, comment, sub, notification bell, should do it around, usual YouTube stuff. I try to hit 1,000 subs within the year, so if you do me so help me too, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And with that out of the way, I've been Aussie, you've been you, and I hope you're going to time for another video. Ta-ta for now.